Hey guys, Roy from Apotheca Marketing. Let's talk about Google Search Console and why you need that data. Let's take a look. All right, so in past videos, we've talked about how you can connect Google Search Console with your GA4 reporting, and it's super handy and easy. That way you can pull in some of the keyword data that is not available in GA4 without Google Search Console. So you can also pull in page reports, average, the keyword data around like average rankings and that kind of stuff. So that way you don't have to go to a Google Search Console for just those types of reports. And a lot of people try to avoid console because they're not necessarily familiar with it. It's a separate site. You have to go log into it differently, that type of thing. But let's talk about some of the reasons why you do need it. We're going to do a walkthrough of Google Search Console. Okay. So here we have a Google Search Console for Remain Eternal. Now, if you don't know how to set this up, it's relatively simple. You go to the search.google.com and then the URL for Search Console. Or you just do a Google search for a Google Search Console. And it'll walk you through the process. You do need to have access to verify your ownership of this data to either the domain registrar, so GoDaddy or whatever other domain registrar that your domain is set up through, or an admin level access to your Google Analytics. And so it will verify that you have that access. I recommend doing the domain level. So if you or somebody in your business has access to that registrar, then that is the best way to do it. So, all right. So when you first enter the website, this is what you're presented with. So it's overview that has some basic performance metrics, how your site is getting indexed, and then user experience, shopping information. If you have the Google Merchant set up, that type of stuff, some of this information, the merchant listings will pull in here, product snippets, that type of stuff is all monitored, and then enhancements to the site, so things like breadcrumbs and stuff like that. All right. So one of the reasons that if you don't have Google Search Console set up is that you will not be able to get keyword reporting, level reporting, or anything like that for your website. The other is that this will help you get your site indexed. And so let's take a look at that. So what you can do is add your sitemaps. So will Google potentially find your sitemaps without this? Maybe, but it's a good best practice to submit your sitemaps through Google Search Console, and then Google will tell you whether it's actually seeing it or not, how many pages it's discovered, and any issues that may arise. So this is just the first step of letting Google know that you exist, that the site exists, and that it should start indexing it. Okay. Now, URL inspection is also similar to that. So you can put in, for instance, say you have a new page on your site, like you've just added a blog or a product. You can submit it to the Google index. You see if it's in there. It'll tell you whether this URL is in Google or not, whether it's been crawled. So you see all of these different metrics. If it is not in here, you'll get a message here that says it's not in Google, and then you can request the indexing. And so that doesn't mean that Google's going to go do it, but it's putting it on their radar that you have new content. So eventually, if you have a large enough site and Google is spidering it regularly, it's probably going to find that content without you asking it to index it. But if you have a relatively new site or it's a small site, you're struggling with your SEO, then this is a good way to kind of get some of these pages in front of Google so that it will start indexing it. Okay. So we took a look at overview, and then we want to look at performance. And so this is one of the important metrics. Like some of this obviously is going to be available in your GA4 if you've hooked up or linked your Google Search Console with your GA4 reporting. But this will show you broader trends, and it will show you the queries. So, and this is where you can get clicks, impressions. You can also add average position to the report and see how each of these is varying as far as average position. You can change the date range up here. So if you wanted to look at, for instance, the last 12 months to see broader trends, you can see that. It gets a little messy if you have too many things in here but you can see ongoing trends and that type of thing. So I like to look at a little bit narrower window just because it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. Okay. And you have click-through rate as well. So the average position for the site is actually pretty good. You can sort that. So you can actually sort it by the best. And you can see how the keywords are faring. So again, much of this data is actually in GA4 if you choose to go hunting in GA4 for it. But it is super helpful to pull it from here. Now, one thing I will mention is that you can sometimes get more information from the export here than you can in some of the reports of GA4, but there is a cutoff to this as well. So you have a limited amount of data. So if you have tens of thousands of keywords, you're not going to be able to export them all from this interface. You'll actually have to set up an API with Google Search Console to get all of that data. But again, that's largely for very large sites that may have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pages and keywords and SKUs, such as large retail sites and that kind of thing. So this is the performance metrics. You can also look at the page level. And so this is like a landing page report that you would get for SEO in GA4. It's very similar to that. And you can see how many clicks are coming from SEO to specific pages. And then you can actually view these pages so that way you can review the content and see if it's something that you need to work on. So you can see average positions, number of clicks. This is actually getting pretty decent number of clicks for being in the almost hinterlands of search, anything past the first page. And so you can see relevant data as to the pages that people are landing on and how those are performing. You can obviously see countries, who's buying the most. You can see devices. Again, this is data that is also available in GA4, but is kind of more consolidated just for SEO here. So, and then by date. Video pages. Pages is another important metric. So this is a good indicator, for instance, of the number of pages that Google is indexing, which is super important, but also what it's not indexing, and why it's not indexing. So you may have, 3,000 pages on your website, but Google's only picking up a fraction of them. This is where it's important to try to understand why that is. And you can see, like, for instance, on this site, the number of index pages has gone down. That could be from a variety of reasons. It could be because they've removed products, or they've cleaned up canonical listings, or they've cleaned up 404 errors, that kind of stuff. But this will actually give you why certain pages are not indexed. So you can see here, it has over 3,000 pages that have an alternate canonical tag. And then you can click through to get more information, and it gives you specific examples of the pages that are impacted. Okay. And so some of these are going to be concerning, some are not. Obviously 404s, you don't want those on your site. And so what you can do is go in, and with a report like this, you can then go in and ideally add some 301 redirects on your site that will stop these from being 404s. So the 301 basically tells Google, hey, this address is permanently moved, stop indexing this page, and it will send Google to better content. Maybe it's a new page, maybe it's your home page, but that way you're not getting 404 errors. But you can see some of these on here are probably generated from the system on the platform that they're using, but others you will want to look at and review and see why those pages are coming across as 404s, okay? And same with any of these. So pages with redirects, blocked by robots. Again, not all of these are bad. There are pages that you do want blocked by robots. So it might be administrative pages or other things that you don't want Google spidering, okay? Soft 404 just means that it didn't find it. It could have been from performance reasons for the site, for whatever reason. So this is something you want to keep an eye on. You want to make sure that Google's able to index your pages, and that it's not causing problems for you, that there's not some issue with how you've structured your site or your content and that type of thing. Video pages is just what it sounds like. Sitemaps we talked about. Removals, I wouldn't really worry too much about. That's not something you want to necessarily go in and basically you're asking it to remove content from Google search. So chances are you don't have anything on there that you want to remove. If you do, you can also use the robots.txt just to say don't index this anymore. But if, for instance, there's something that is, information or something like that that you don't want in the search index, you can ask them to remove it. All right, so the experience part is also very important because obviously, when it comes to ranking and when it comes to keywords, the customer experience is increasingly important for Google's algorithm. So they want to send people to content that's relevant, right? So the content on your page is keyword rich. It's without keyword stuffing, obviously, but it's relevant to the consumer and the search that they're conducting. So is it likely to appeal to the person that did that keyword search and they're going to land on your site and it's going to be content that they want? Like, that's super important. Also important is the experience that they have on your site. So if they come to your site and it's horribly designed, if it has very poor navigation, it's difficult to find information, the fonts are too small, the colors are too not contrasting enough, and if the page loads too slowly, all of these things factor into the page experience. And so, into the things that Google uses as flags for how it's going to rank your site. So page experience is going to be going away in the coming months. But essentially what this tells you, and you can tell that they have mobile and then desktop. Mobile is going to be the primary driver for most of your rankings anyway. But this is showing you your good URLs. So how many have good usability and are going to impact, the customer experience on your site. And so you can look at those specifically. You can see that they have 0 not usable, which is good. And then it shows you the pages the number of pages that it's sampling. And if you have a very large site, by the way, page experience and core web vitals is a sampling. It's not going to necessarily look at your entire website. Okay, core web vitals. Again, this is something that Google is using to understand how good of an experience for customers it is to land on your page, right? So you can see here that there's 12 URLs that need improvement. They might need some optimization as far as their load times and that type of thing. And then the majority of the URLs are good. Now, we do have clients that have very poor site designs and or performance issues, and they may have the vast majority of their URLs not performing well. They're still getting ranked and listed on Google. Like, it's not going to keep you off of Google, but it's a best practice to make that as good an experience as possible so that you can rank higher. So this will give you information about the ones that need improvement, the ones that are poor. These guys don't have any that are poor, which is awesome. And then ones that may need improvement. So you can click through and look. And it will tell you the page and some of the issues with it. So mobile usability we looked at. Now for shopping, this area is, to make sure that you have the correct product snippets, that your merchant listings are valid or invalid, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you're not doing Google Merchant or Google Shopping, you don't need to worry about that. The enhancements area is, breadcrumbs and that type of stuff. Again, best practice to have them on your site. So they do have, they show you whether those are valid and whether Google is spidering those. So breadcrumbs just helps Google navigate the site like it does a customer. It helps the customer navigate your site, understand the hierarchy of the site. If you have a good breadcrumbs on the site, Google is going to understand how your site is structured better and help navigate it. So it's going to index it more and spider it more. and will theoretically rank it higher. All right, so you don't really need to worry about these that often. Links. So this is one area that is important to look for, because links to your site and in your site, both internal links and external links, are important because it does send signals to Google. Now, Google's recently come out and said that, links to your site, link building, isn't even in its top 3 considerations for organic rankings. Now, that's a change, because in the past, links from authoritative sites or high quality sites to your site were gold, right? Like, that was really important. And there's whole companies and tools that have built themselves on building links, and the whole trying to not be black hat about it, but to be white hat link building, where you're not purchasing links, all that kind of stuff. It's a whole industry. Google has gotten sophisticated enough that it doesn't depend as much on links as it used to, but that's not saying they're not important. So internal links in your site shows the content that in your site tends to be linked more. Again, internal links that are embedded in your blogs and your product listings and that kind of stuff, obviously in your navigation, all of those things help Google understand the structure of your site and understand your content and what's important. And so it looks at internal linking as well, and that is important for you to maintain and make sure that you're linking appropriately in the site. External links, same thing. There's, blogs and other sites that are going to link to you, social media stuff that is getting indexed by Google. All of those are signals about quality of your site. So particularly, if you have good high quality links coming from a newspaper or a magazine or other trusted websites, an academic page, a government page, those are great to have, and obviously it will impact your rankings. So this shows you like the top sites. People have talked about link to the site on Reddit, as well as some, looks like kind of spammy sites. It shows the common top link text. So that text also sends messages. It's part of the link on the page, sends messages to Google as well. And so this is where you can come in and see all this report and understand how your page is being linked to and whether it needs work. Like I said, it's maybe not the top 3 anymore, but link building is still important, and it's something to monitor and try to encourage people to link to you. Again, people will organically link to you if you have really good high quality content or products or interesting things. They will tend to link to you anyway, but it can't hurt to start a program to develop those links. So that's about it. That's a quick overview. Obviously, there's a whole admin section of the site where you can add people and that kind of stuff to give them access to this. You can also get crawl reports and things like that for your site. But essentially, you're going to want to monitor not only the performance, because that can be available in GA4 if you've linked it, but really monitoring those core web vitals, the pages that are getting indexed versus not getting indexed. What are some of the reasons for that? And this is all information that's incredibly important for you if you want to start fine-tuning your organic program. And a lot of this data is not available in GA4. So if you don't have Search Console, go set that up today and link it to your GA4 and check on it regularly, because it is important information. So I hope this was useful, guys. Give us a like and subscribe if you want more like this. We can dive into Google Search Console more in the future if you like. Just let us know in the comments if there's something that you would like explained more or understand better how it works. And hopefully you're getting your SEO programs sewn up and are using the tools available to you. So have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.